the realization that you're never gonna, open a new door unless you close a few behind you. And it's to have the confidence to say, this is something that I believe can be something. And business is accessible to everyone. You may fail, but you're never gonna know unless you try. And once you try, that's it. Things can happen and move forward, and you end up in a position where you are happy with what you're doing.
Welcome back to Small Business Voices Wales, the podcast that shines a light on small businesses, the kind that hold our communities together and the backbone of our Welsh economy. Today, we're joined by a special guest, someone who represents the next generation of entrepreneurship in Wales. Ben is the co-founder and director of business for Ddraig Studio, a creative design agency helping small businesses turn their ideas into bold brands. What started as an idea just on the cruise between family has now become a successful growing business, supporting clients both here in Wales and internationally. So welcome, Ben. Just to start, can you take me back to that conversation between yourself and your brother-in-law on that cruise a number of months ago?
Well, it's definitely fresh in my mind because it was not that long ago. My brother-in-law and I had conversations previously about starting a business for ourselves. He's already established in the design business, working for another agency, doing exactly the work that we want to be doing, but for ourselves. And being in that environment, you're sat down, you're looking good, you're feeling good, you're in the right place at the right time. Those conversations start happening. I'm sure everybody's had them at some point, but to realise that actually this could be something for us, and how do we move this forward was a real eye-opener for us. So from that point going on, we came away, we left it settle for a little bit, but it was still in the back of our mind. We'd come away from the holiday, we were sat down and went, actually, how do we bring that now into reality? And we went from speaking very briefly to having a good conversation, nagging. Let's do this now. Let's make something of this because we are so confident in the fact that we can produce something. How do we go and do that now? And we are in 2026 now. We've launched our business. Things seem to be going quite well so far. So here we are.
Congratulations. And you mentioned actually before we started recording that this wasn't the first business idea that both of you sort of had together. So what was different then this time for it to actually be something that comes to life?
So with the businesses previously, they were Aaron on his own. He's fantastic at what he does. He's a great designer. He is very talented at what he does, but he lacked the structure. And that's what I sort of brought to the table. I have experience in business management previously anyway, and how to structure a business for success. And he lacked that. So you got two and two, they go together pretty well. I can't do anything he does, but I keep him motivated. He keeps me motivated. And we're family. And it really does help that dynamic to sort of let's keep moving forward. Let's keep making something that we're happy with, that we're proud of, and keep moving forward with what it is that we're doing.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Having a team, it's all about balancing each other out, yin and yang. And it's, leveraging on both your strengths. And it sounds like you're doing that pretty well. But obviously, working with family, because again, your brothers-in-law. So I'm sure that brings maybe its own, different dynamic, really.
Ironically so, not from the of us. No, from the rest of the family. So he has been in a relationship with my sister for 7 years. Child together, we spend more time together than he does with his own daughter and my sister. So there's a little turbulence around that. Not really, but we do spend a lot of time together. We are committed to what we're doing, and we do want to continue doing what we're doing to the degree that we're doing it. So that does mean a lot of time together. But ultimately, the family's supportive of us. They are understanding that we are doing something. We are doing something that's going to be great for us, and they just want to support us. So.
And it sounds like you guys obviously have been friends for quite a while. Beyond just the family connection, you are, you sound like you're like best mates, really.
Yeah, if the walls of some places could speak, there would be some stories to be told, for sure. Yeah, we've spent a lot of time together anyway, so yeah, we do have our own relationship outside of being family as well.
So does that impact on the working dynamic at all? How do you really balance the two, the professional side of things and your personal relations?
So we have an understanding anyway. We understand how each other works. I know how his mind works. He knows how mine works. we avoid conflict because he understands that if something isn't done the way maybe he would like it, he understands that I've done it the way that I've done it for a particular reason, and that's the right way for me to do it. And the communication stays open always. You know, there's never not a point that we're accessible to each other as we spend a lot of time together as it is, that we can just continually communicate. And that's a really important factor for us, is that if there is ever a problem, we don't feel like we can't speak to each other because we have that pre-existing family and friend relationship. We don't have any boundaries when it comes to, you know, I can't tell him that I don't feel happy with something that he's done, or vice versa, you know, and that dynamic really helps for us to have effective communication.
Yeah, it's quite important. And I think also maybe trust as well, isn't it? You know, you trusting
Absolutely.
each other in your skills and what you bring to the
2
table.
feet in, you've got to have some trust, but yeah, we're keeping each other sane and keep moving forward, and, you know, let's steady on the course.
You obviously went on a little bit of a journey to find the right name for your business and landed on the wonderful Ddraig Studio as a name. And thinking back to even right now, we're in March and St. David's Day has just passed, and just the history of Wales and just what the dragon represents, a story really of, you know, resilience, of being able to fight back and just keep on going. Where in your business so far, or rather in your business journey, has that resilience shown through?
So for us, it's really, you know, Wales as a country is a really lovely place. And what we found so far is that the amount of community around us has allowed us to be more resilient, because we're not always 100%. I can't do everything 100% the best, neither can Aaron. But to have support from people around us, from, you know, such an amazing place, such an amazing people, it really elevated us to then be able to endure. So yes, resilience is one thing, but actually having people around you that enable you to then continue on, for us, was really, really important. It is a fantastic thing. It is a fantastic name, and we do really feel aligned with it, because that's what we want to bring into the world. We want to be, you know, very forward-facing, very confident, and that's what we want other people to feel that we work with as well.
And I think you bring up, you know, quite an important point around Wales, what Wales is, or the strengths that Wales has, which is just that sense of community, and you're actually just never really alone in trying to do something. And then the support networks that come out of that, trying to just pull each other up, you know, along the journey, which is quite unique, I would say. I think I always joke and say that Wales is like one big village, basically, because often someone knows someone, but then they're actually helping each other in whatever it is that they're trying to do, which is good. But for you, again, both of you are pretty young entrepreneurs. You've made the decision to stay in Wales and try to build a business in Wales. Absolutely. Though it has reached everywhere, you chose to still be in Wales. Yes. Can you tell me a little bit around just that, really, and what opportunities as well you see here?
So we've stayed for one particular reason, and it's this is where we established ourselves. You know, this is where we're from, this is where we operate. We work very closely with the clients that we do have, as much as we can do. You know, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is that we will work as closely with the people that we work with as we can do. And to have access to other small local Welsh businesses, staying in Wales, as you mentioned, that small village feeling, it really, really encapsulates that and really captures that, because that's what we want to do. We want to work closely. We want to be friendly and be neighbourly and be as out there as we can do. So that's sort of where it comes to us, is that we could go anywhere and do what we do. Yeah. You know, I could be across the bridge or anywhere else and still do exactly what I do. But having that sense of belonging and feeling like you're really helping people that, you know, you can be friendly with at any point in time, for us is really, really important. And that's what we love about being in Wales and staying in Wales and being Welsh, is that everybody can be your best friend.
I love that, definitely. So can you then take me into your day, or how you just run the business, really, from start to finish? A day in the life of you as a director of Ddraig Studio.
Yes, and typically what my day looks like is answering a lot of emails. You know, we have to communicate with our clients. Again, as I mentioned, that's something that we really pride ourselves on, scheduling phone calls, giving updates to the people that we're working with, updating them on the work that we do. But one thing that we really, again, try to push is our out of house. So going out, meeting businesses, going into businesses. It's very, very easy for me to send an email to 150 businesses in a day. Anybody can do it. there's things and softwares and things out there that will do it for you without even thinking about it. But if I put on my shoes and go outside and I actually knock on your front door and say, hey, look, this is who I am. What can we do for you? This is what we can do for you. It gives it that personal touch. It's much easier to buy something that's right in front of you, or to, align with something that's right in front of you. Because at the end of the day, people buy people, and there's no face to an email or a cold call or anything like that. So for us, getting out into the world, going and meeting these people, introducing ourselves, whether nothing comes of it is a different thing. But being there in the first place for us is really, really important. You put a face to the name. This is who we are. It's lovely to meet you. And that's something that we do spend a lot of time doing. So a lot of that, I'll get out, we'll go to different places in and around sort of Cardiff and surrounding areas and just meet people.
Aaron is
just
doing
meet
that
people.
Right now, isn't he? As
Absolutely.
We're recording, he's out
Exactly,
there
yeah. My business partner, he's out there right now, going and meeting people, putting a face to the name, getting the word out there. And for us, it's been very effective. It's a great marketing strategy. And I feel like it's lost its touch a little bit. But again, it's Wales. People will listen to you. People want to talk to you. So let's, capitalize on that. Let's be friends. Nice to meet you. And that's really what our ethos is let's get to know everyone.
And I think if you look at the world right now, with everything just being online, in as much as your business is actually providing an online service,
yes,
everything is just online. People on social media stuck almost within, as opposed to just being out there. And also with what we're saying around artificial intelligence, and I think things are just slowly becoming more and more impersonal. So actually, if there's anything that counters that, I think people really want that. And it's different because not a lot of people are going or knocking on people's doors still selling, isn't it? Yes, and that's like a USP where that sticks with someone. And I think it's a good sort of introductory bit, and actually says a lot about you as business people that, again, potential clients really benefit from.
Yeah, and it's very easy to come away from that and think, actually, that's not a great way to do things. I could describe it to you as, yes, we just go on to random businesses. That doesn't sound too great, but the way that I've explained it to people that don't maybe understand that it is actually really, really great is for selling a car. You've got two people selling the exact same car. One of them, they'll send you an email, they'll reply every 2 days. It's the exact same car. I will bring you the car, get in the car, drive the car, have a look at the car. This car is fantastic. You really want this lovely car? Who are you going to phone first?
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, the answer is always going to be the same. It's the person that's willing to be there, that wants to get to know you, and they want to show you the product, and really, this is what it is. This is what it can be for you. And then it starts to make sense, is that actually it is a fantastic thing to do.
I think what's really shown through from meeting both you and your business partner is just how driven and quite proactive you are, but also quite positive. I think I can tell, just knocking on doors, you do expect them to be open, which is quite an important sort of quality to have as an entrepreneur. And also, again, from literally, I don't know, September is how many months ago? 4, 5, 6 months. How many? Yes. Just, a few months ago, you didn't have just even this idea, to now fast forward 6 months later, where you've already got clients, you're already making progress. That's actually a quick turnaround in terms of idea to fruition. What I've seen a lot, we support a lot of entrepreneurs or other aspiring entrepreneurs, is people will sit on an idea for a very long time. So for you, I'm quite interested to hear what you think sometimes could be the barriers that people might have that stop them from actually realizing that full potential, and what it is that, allowed you guys, both of you, to be able to just, bring this to life as quickly as you did, really.
It's the realization that you're never gonna, open a new door unless you close a few behind you. And it's to have the confidence to say, this is something that I believe can be something. And business is accessible to everyone, which is really one thing that I didn't realize going into it, was that I've known a lot of people, I've met a lot of people, I've met some fantastic people in my time, obviously my background in hospitality. And of every person that I've ever met, I'm the last person that I think should be running a business, ironically so. But just getting over that hurdle of I can't, and changing it to I can, because you can. And, I believe that I'm living proof of that, because I don't think that I should run a business, but we're here 6 months later after a conversation of an idea, and we are moving forward. And it's just having the confidence to believe in yourself and go, I can do this. You may fail, but you're never going to know unless you try. And once you try, that's it. Things can happen and move forward, and you end up in a position where you are happy with what you're doing. And that's the number one for me.
So do you think anyone can be an entrepreneur?
100%. Absolutely. I think everybody who can have a conversation can be an entrepreneur, because that's all it takes is confidence, conversation, and having an idea that you believe in. Anyone can do it.
I love that. I mean, which is actually very different from actually what you hear out there in terms of, it can't be for everyone. But I think right now the world really is your oyster, isn't it? There's so much potential there,
100%.
just ready to be.
There's a market for everybody. There's a market for everything. You have the internet, which is a massive place. There's a market for absolutely anything and everything you can think of, and it just takes that idea to fill the gap in the market. Yes, there are people out there, as you've just mentioned, people say not everybody's entrepreneurship for everyone. The question is there a market for that gap, if that makes sense? So you may be trying to fill a gap that isn't really there in the first place. But there's a lot of people out there, and the internet's a big place. The chances are that someone will be interested in what you're selling, and just going out there and trying it. It really is just about trying and having the confidence in yourself. That's the only thing that I've learned, is that just try, keep moving forward. Don't put yourself down too much. Get back up when you get knocked down, and just keep moving forward. And really, it is accessible. It really is accessible, and there's so much support out there as well.
Both you and Aaron have left your full-time jobs to be doing this really full-time. You've committed, which is amazing, really. And I think, probably a necessary sort of sacrifice at an early stage of a business. Yeah. Can you talk me through really just the thought behind that decision and why you think that will actually position you better for success?
Again, it's that confidence. I know that what we have can be something, and you're never going to open more doors without closing the ones behind you, as I previously mentioned. We cannot commit ourselves 100% to something if we weren't confident in it. And that's why we quit our jobs, because we believe that this can really be something for us, and we want it to be something, which is why we've done what we've done. And yes, it may be an early decision. We are still very early doors, but I want to be 2 feet into this, because for me, this is what makes me happy. I enjoy doing it. It may fail later down the line. Absolutely. You've got to be a realist, but for me right now, this is what's giving me drive. This is what makes me wake up in the morning. This is what makes me want to, keep moving forward. And the same for Aaron as well. He wants to produce something that he's proud of. He is the creative side of the business, and what he produces, he is proud of and he's happy with. And he wants to share that with people. And if he's doing that day in, day out for somebody else, and he doesn't have the time to do that for other local people, Welsh businesses, it's a very different feeling for him to provide something for someone that is going to allow them to grow, that's going to enable them to really get themselves out there and bring their vision to light is one of the drives for him, I think, as well. Just knowing that he's making a difference.
I think people say sometimes passion is overrated, but I think you're testament that it's not, because like you said, having that thing that wakes you up in the morning and drives your day really, I think, is important. And I think it's what carries you forward. We were talking about resilience. I think it's what carries you forward even when things get difficult, because that's business. It's got peaks, it's got troughs, but you have to push through. But if you've got that guiding light, which is that passion, then it will help you through.
Yeah, for sure. And there's always going to be people that are going to try and knock you down, but just get back up, keep moving forward, keep on steady on the course, keep going, keep doing what you're doing. If you're happy with what you're doing and you've got the confidence in yourself, then you can go places.
What is one thing that small businesses sometimes fail in terms of their brand positioning?
Honestly, the number one thing that we see, so we identify a lot of things with a lot of small brands, big brands as well, established businesses, is the consistency. It's really, really difficult if you're not aware of how that space works. But just knowing that you can post, or your brand consistency, anything like that, constantly is maybe slightly daunting. It may feel over the top, but just hitting those points, having your brand align with you and your business, and producing content that aligns with that consistently. Your website and your brand, they look the same. You're sharing the same color palettes. You've got things that align with each other, that feel like you as a business, and you then show that to the people that you are trying to sell yourself to.
So again, I want to get into that a little bit deeper. You say consistency. It's not just around the number of times that maybe you're putting out content, but like you said, having a recognizable brand.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in terms of having your logo compatible in different formats. You know, you can post it on your social media, you can post it on your menus, on your business card, on the signage outside your business, you know, in a format that is scalable for you and your business. Not everybody's going to have a menu, but maybe you have a business card as well. And having an extravagant logo, yes, is fantastic, but also having something that you still says this is who we are, but in a different way, you know, that's still consistent with your business. And that is really, really missed a lot of times, you know, not having those materials really align with each other and well, I keep saying consistent, but that really is the number one thing. And it gets missed a lot. You know, your social media pages, your profile pictures, your you know, your headers on your posts, all that sort of stuff. It's really, really easy to miss, but it is really, really effective. Knowing what you're looking at, who they are and who they're selling to and what their product is, just from, you know, knowing what that brand icon is, you know, and that's something that's really, really important.
I think as a small business owner yourself, you know that it's obviously quite challenging. Even if, for example, you're a restaurant owner, it's only a small restaurant maybe, and you're dealing with the staff, you're dealing with making sure that the chef is, there is a lot of work that goes into running a business. And I feel obviously things like marketing and branding then just fall through the cracks because that's just something else that someone just has just no capacity for. But not only capacity, I think sometimes it also takes certain skills, really, and a good eye for detail, things like that sometimes just people don't have. So I'm sure obviously that's where you come in as a design agency.
Absolutely. So we really try to sort of establish the foundation, whether or not you've got one built up in the first place. These things do fall through the gaps, but if you build your house on a foundation of sand, you're always going to fall down. You know, so we come in, we put those concrete foundations in for you, whether or not, you know, it's a little bit or a lot, you know, we set those foundations for you so you can then build on them yourself. Whether or not you continue to do business with us, that's up to you, but we like to know that we can go in somewhere, provide the services that are required and, you know, for that business, and they can go away and continue to build on it themselves.
And that's quite important, just having that personalized service, which is bespoke to each and every client, which again, you were speaking about a little bit earlier, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. You know, we try to tailor the services that we offer to the clients that we are working with at that time, you know. So we will work closely and personally with everybody. Phone us when you need to phone us. We will phone you with updates as often as we can do. Really get to know you on a personal level before we even turn around and say, look, this is what we're going to offer you. Let's get to know each other first. Let's sit down. Let's go for a coffee. You know, let me understand your business and your clientele for yourself. And how do we reach them? How do we really, you know, make what it is that you're trying to sell stand out from the rest of the people in your industry? You know, and that's really something that we'd like to make people understand, is that we will tailor our services for you.
And which is what could be unique really about the business that you're running. So if I was starting a business right now and I had a £500 budget for just really building my brand from the start, how would I spend that?
So it's a really easy thing to do, to spend £500, because there's a lot of places out there that will take it and just do a runner. But honestly, the most effective thing you can do with that is establish yourself and really get to know who it is that you're trying to sell to, what it is that you're selling, and how do you produce a brand that really shows that to the world. So you get yourself a logo designed, whether or not you do it yourself or you get somebody to work with you, that fits in your budget. Get yourself a website up. Again, with that, you know, consistency, your brand, who you are, get it out into the world. That fits into your budget. You know, get your social media pages going. It's free. Doesn't cost any of your budget. All these little things that just establish your foundations, whether or not you go out and spend a little bit more on advertising or, you know, going and have someone put an ad out for you. That fits in your budget as well. £500 is a lot of money to really establish a brand identity. And those are the things that I would recommend first. If you're completely new, you don't have anything established already, is get your foundation set before you start putting things out into the world. Get all your social medias set up with your brand, who you are, this is who we are, and then start posting to those, you know, so you've got that really great solid foundation.
I think it's quite crucial, and it's what unfortunately a lot of small businesses miss. Really, they just get on with the job and then they just miss that really important bit, which again also builds credibility, right? Because if you are going to approach potential customers, if they can't find you online, then again, they can't trust, maybe sometimes, or it's difficult then to trust whatever service or product that you're delivering to them. So I think, yeah, it's really crucial that you mentioned that actually those are the foundations of building a business. Get your brand out there.
Yeah, those are the things people will look for. If anybody of prospective, this is the service that I need, or this is the product that I want, they're going to go online, they're going to search, this is what I want, and they're going to go to the website, they're going to go to the social media, they're going to do a little bit of shopping around, because ultimately there's going to be somebody else doing what you're doing. But how do you stand out from the rest? How do you bring people in your direction, and how do you make them stay? And that's how you really, really grip someone, is by having those things there in the first place for them to even look at. This is who we are, this is what we do, stick around.
You obviously mentioned you've got quite an extensive background and experience really in the hospitality industry. Yes. And that's sort of your area of specialty with this business as well. What opportunities do you think lie in that space here in Wales?
So the hospitality industry is very difficult at this time. We all know there's lots of places closing down consistently, week in, week out. And we are very much in a place where big industries capitalize on most of the market. Most places, they fall under an umbrella of a few brands. The advantage is that the people that go in and take over these places, whether or not they are experienced or not, they always have a gap to sell to. You can be a general manager of a pub in 2 weeks' time if you have the investment for it. Anybody can do it. It takes a Google search and they will get you in there. They'll sign you up. Whether you've got experience or not, they'll give you your personal license. You're ready to go. You might not have experience in marketing. You might not know how to sell yourself, but you are now liable for that business. And it really gets overlooked that if you are going into a business where the profits are going into your pocket, you need to be selling something and you need to be doing it well. And going into those businesses and those new businesses that don't know how to do that with the high turnover at the moment is really, really beneficial, because we've got a new launch. This is who we are. This is what we're going to be doing. It's not the old. It is the new. And we live in a society where new is always better. For whatever reason, every year you buy the new phone, you get the new laptop, you get the new tablet, the consumerism's there. New and shiny is always better. So capitalize on that, and with the smaller side of the businesses as well, as you mentioned earlier, you don't always have time for it. If you're a small business owner, you've got a little cafe or a pub or a restaurant, you don't always have time to deal with that yourself. Yes. You've got, the clock is always turning. If those doors are open, you haven't got time to sit on your phone for 45 minutes and go and do all your social medias and update your brandings and print your new menus and get your signage out there and your A-boards and all this sort of stuff, So, providing support, not just selling them new things, but supporting those businesses in continuing on what they're doing as well is a really, really good place to be as well.
Yeah, and what it sounds like, the word that came to mind was one-stop shop for really not only the hospitality businesses, but then for small businesses generally, which is good. But also just supporting their independence, because I think that's quite important, because sometimes obviously resources are finite. They might have initial investment to do their marketing, but then that might not continue as a budget line. But yeah, if they're able to have those skills, which it sounds like you give them as well, then it's quite good.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like to say, I don't do any creative stuff myself, but Aaron is that side of the business, and working with smaller businesses and bigger businesses as well. Not everybody shares the same skill set. That's why we're a collaboration, me and Aaron. But what we like to say is that we offer creative freedom without the need for creative skills. You don't need to know how to bring your idea to life as a small business. You might not know how to design your own logo and make your website look pretty and all that sort of stuff, but we will offer you the freedom to do that without the need for those creative skills in the first place. And that's really essential, especially for new businesses as well, because you don't have all the skills. Not everybody has every skill to be perfect. And that's sort of where we try to fill those gaps as well and support those businesses.
you've spoken a lot around really just the positives around being able to start a business in Wales and the support that's come from a wide range of different people, even the community generally. But I'm interested in hearing more around what you think needs to change in Wales for Wales to become really the best place for people to start and grow their business. I'm really thinking specifically right now we are in March. We've got a Senate election in less than 2 months coming. A whole new government is likely to be in place. Probably, we don't know. It's a new system, so there's going to be a lot of change. These are going to be people that are going to be responsible for the future of Wales, and the economy and small business is a part of that. So yeah, I would really want to hear a little bit around what you think can be done to better support small businesses like yourself, and how to create just this ecosystem that supports thriving and doesn't suffocate businesses.
So the number one thing for me, I know I've mentioned that we've received a lot of support, through the King's Trust and Businesses for Wales, as we've spoken previously. But I didn't know those things existed. They have been invaluable resources for us that have gotten us to where we are now. But until I decided that I wanted to start a business, I didn't know that those resources existed or were accessible to me. I thought that having your own business and being a young entrepreneur were so far out of my reach that I never even thought to look for them. So I think being in a position where those resources are advertised more to young people, whether or not it's, I don't know, in schools, I've not been in school for so long now, but just knowing that there's support out there and having those accessible to people, everyone, because they are. And whether or not it is in one regard, they will point you in the direction of something else that is accessible to you. And really, really making sure that people are aware that there are resources out there for you. Anybody can do it, and they will help you through it as well. I think that's really, really, really going to be essential moving forward for new businesses.
Yeah, no, it's an important point, because you're not alone in that, just not having the awareness of what support is out there.
Of course, and it connects you with other people as well. One of the other things for us that, again, has been really, really beneficial was through those services, connecting with other young people that are going through the same things that we're going through, and knowing that there's someone that you can talk to about it. Having communication and being part of that, again, the Welsh community, we can message any person that we've met so far along our journey, and we will have a conversation with them, or they, go meet up and have a coffee and have a chat. And it's really, really, that support is there. But as I mentioned, just knowing that those resources are there, really, really pushing out into the world that to young people, that these are things that are accessible to you. You can go and do it. You might be in the very earliest of stages. Those services are there. They literally will tell you. It doesn't matter if you've just had a spark of an idea. Come and have a conversation with us and let's make it something, and they will support you through everything. And then they build your confidence for you to continue forward. And I really feel that'll be a good driving force moving forward.
Amazing. And on that point, actually, about knowing that it's even available, I think you mentioned a crucial point around not even feeling like entrepreneurship was accessible to you maybe previously, right? Yes. We talk about the word even entrepreneur. It can be quite daunting. We've even done an episode really speaking about this, where actually in reality anyone can do business, but then when we're using some of these terms, it then just feels very far from some people. And with young people, even like you said, in schools, you're being taught about what university degree to do or what career then you can have afterwards. But then I think there's just huge missed opportunities around showing young people that entrepreneurship is actually an option for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things. I mean, my education is relatively down there. I didn't really finish school or go to university or anything like that. But perhaps had I known at an earlier date that, you haven't got to go and get all these degrees and commit all of this financial, stuff to universities and, maybe you'll get a job on the other side, but to actually be self-sufficient for you with you and yourself, I feel could be such a turning point for me. Maybe things would have aspired earlier. I don't know. But, it isn't. That opportunity isn't given to people, that information isn't there in the first place, for people to make that decision for themselves. They're always pushed in the same direction through the entirety of their schooling is you will go to college or sixth form, then from college or sixth form you will go to university and you may do your masters, but after that you've got your degree in your mid-20s and you might get a job. And that's not for everyone, and people don't always know that they have options, and there is always options.
Exactly, and I love that because actually right now I was hearing stats around majority of graduates, even up until master's level, are jobless. They can't get jobs. Entry level jobs are being replaced very rapidly. So it leaves you in a place where actually sometimes if the opportunities aren't there for you, then you might want to create your own opportunities, and that's the beauty of what business allows people to do. But then it's just them knowing that they can do it in the very first place. So I think it's very important that we not only keep on having these conversations, but also provide spaces where actually young people can connect with other fairly young people who've actually gone through that journey. I think sometimes as well, yes, that thing around, I don't want to call it mentorship because again, I've got reservations around mentorship as as a concept, but really just positive role models, people that have gone through different paths to what's being promoted, for example, in education currently, that can actually show young people that, it's possible for you as well.
Yeah, for sure. And it really helps sort of build that sort of community feeling of like, we can go and have a conversation, have a chat, make these spaces available to people where you can ask questions and you can be given information, you can be pointed in the right direction. But yeah, that's a really, really good point, I think, is that just having the information there accessible for young people to then make that choice for themselves,
Exactly.
And then give accountability for maybe you go to university. If I went to university and got a degree and didn't get a job, I would not feel great about myself. But if I started a business...
As well, you've come out...
Exactly.
That's the big issue right now. You've come out with thousands.
But if I'm, sort of 19 years old and I start a business and I fail because of me, that gives me accountability. I'm not blaming somebody else. I'm not blaming companies for not offering me a job and, AI taking over all these menial positions and not having 10 years of experience at, 21 years old. Sort of things, I'm accountable for my losses. And I feel like for a lot of people, that's a much more beneficial direction to go in, is that you know that you can do better. How do you do better? You make yourself accountable and you keep moving forward. And that will give you the sort of drive. I keep mentioning drive, but move forward. You are accountable for your actions. Go out into the world and make something of yourself. And if you fail, you get up, you keep going and you try again.
And I think we just need a lot more of that mindset out there because I think, unfortunately, really some of the negatives that COVID has brought is just a lot of mental difficulty, especially in young people, where we're seeing this even in work, for example, challenges around, I think resilience being a thing that's just quite difficult then for a lot of young people to be attaining. But actually, what I like about that is having that personal responsibility, because I think the world is obviously not sometimes a great place to be in. There's a lot that's not within your control. There's a lot that you can't change, but there's a lot that you can as well. And I think it's important to always have those reminders that actually you've got autonomy as a person. We speak a lot about the Welsh dream, creating Wales as a place where people, no matter their background really, can achieve success, whatever that definition looks like for them. But the majority of that has to come from the individuals themselves, because you could do everything, but if the mindset isn't there, then nothing will change.
Yeah, and we definitely do still suffer the effects of that sort of with the 2020, 21 sort of era, is that it made it very easy to hide from the world. And the world's a big place and it's scary, but being able to hide behind a computer screen through influential years of your life, you sort of your late teens into your 20s, it really, really did affect a lot of people. And I feel like we do still see a lot of that even today. I worked previously with a lot of young people that are, slightly younger during all of that, but they lost their sort of communication and their social skills, I see 16, 17, 18-year-olds now that I've worked with that just don't know how to communicate with adults. They really, really lost something through those years where you are going to school, you've got your teachers, you are talking to other people that are outside of your household and really developing yourself as a young person. And I think that just really trying to remove the stigma from that and go, actually, you can go out into the world, you can present yourself and you can be something. And you don't have to hide, because the world isn't that scary place if you do just really try to be something and just be who you want to be. Be who you want to be.
Yeah, and I love that, because the theme that you still are continuing to bring out is that theme of community, which is an asset that Wales has, right? And I think us just taking more of a responsibility for one another, I think we just need to be doing that a lot more. So we're sitting here 3 months into the launch of your business. I'm keen on hearing more about what the future looks like for Ddraig Studio. Think 5 years from now, if you were sat back right in that chair, what would have happened?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, because if 5 years from now I'm back in this chair, hopefully that means I've done a few things right. But for us, the most important thing right now is just keeping on the course. You know, we know what we're doing is the right thing, and just keep building ourselves slowly, developing our skills, you know, working as closely as we can do with our clients, and really, really trying our best to put ourselves out into the world in a way that also helps other people and supports new businesses and existing businesses as well, and just really get out there.
Yeah, no better place to end on than that. Thank you so much, Ben, for your time.
It's been a
and
pleasure.
for actually choosing us to be your first podcast, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's been fantastic. It's been really great.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So, to our listeners, again, please share your comments, questions, anything really. And if you want to suggest any guests, then do so. And also, we're excited to be announcing our hosting of the Senedd election hustings with the Gara Abitawe candidates. This will be on the 16th of April here in the Community Enterprise Hub, and it's your opportunity as a small business to engage with the local politicians, to really put forward your challenges, your ideas to them, and most importantly, to hear how they'll put you and other small businesses at the heart of their plans in the upcoming election. So our tickets are available on Eventbrite already. So if you just search Gara Abitawe Senedd Hastings, championing small businesses, you'll find it there. And we'll link below our new website, and follow us on the social media platforms, Small Business Voices Wales. Thank you for listening.